Hello everyone. I am here with the second episode of season 1 of the educational podcast at the Virtual Institute for Higher Education. And tonight I am joined by two of the most popular tutors of the ACCA qualification papers, particularly performance management and financial management. So, in this regard, in today's episode, actually, I will be discussing why students fail as ACCA exam results has just been announced. So, in tonight's episode, we will be discussing and we will be advising our students how to overcome failures and why most of the students face hurdles in passing exams. So, in this regard, without wasting any further time, let me ask my first question from Sir Rizwan Mania. Okay. Hello, sir.
How are you?
Just tell me, give me some general reasons why students fail.
Okay. Hello, everyone. As we all know that results have been announced for December 2019, and by looking at the overall passing ratios, it seems that the results are again more or less the same it were the last time. Uh, General reasons for failure, there are many different reasons, but to be precise, there are certain things that I need to highlight. First of all, students are not prepared well. The biggest issue what I feel is student just go for selective study, which is extremely wrong. ACCA multiple times have emphasized a lot that you can never go for selective study. So this is one of the major problems what I see that student do is that they go for selective study. There are certain topics that they just cover, or the one that they know better they cover those. So this is one of the reasons, because once the examination comes, so they're not 100% ready for that, especially when it comes to papers like skill module, like we have performance management, we have financial management, financial reporting, and audit papers. So coverage is extremely important. The second reason is student cannot cope with the time in the examination. The time management is one of the major reasons for the failure. There are so many students which they come to us and they say that we were not able to finish the paper on time. So time management is second major problem, and we need to address this issue. How to resolve it, that we'll do later on in the session as well. The third reason is students are not being able to understand the question requirements, which is another big reason for the failure. They don't know what the examiner is actually asking for. They write what they want to write rather than what examiner is asking them to write. So these are the major reasons, like examination, time pressure, like not understanding the question requirements, and they're not prepared for the entire syllabus. So that leads to failures.
So, according to Sir Rizwan, there are three major reasons. Number one, selective studies. Number two, failure, time management, and number three, what sir? What did you say? Number three.
The first
Number
is
three is the exam technique. Okay.
examination.
The exam technique. Okay. Speaking of exam technique, sir, actually I always talk about exam technique from with Sir Taha Popatia. The reason being he's a multiple time place winner in the ACCA exams. I think he's the best teacher who can guide students regarding exam technique. That's what I believe. So, Sir Taha, any tips for improving exam techniques once a student fails?
Okay, hello audience, hello all the students, and first of all, I would like to congratulate everyone who has been able to clear the ACC exams. We had our ACC results yesterday, and congratulations to all those who were able to successfully clear the exams they attempted. For anyone who was not able to clear the exams for any reason, let's go ahead. Let's think for the next attempt and be positive for re-attempting the exams and for your later exams. So, as Mueed has asked me about the exam techniques, I have been ACCA possession holder in Pakistan, nationwide possession holder for multiple attempts and also been declared as a top affiliate. I would like to add something that the one of the reasons for the failure of students is that they are not able to revise the entire ACC syllabus just before the exam night or a day or a two before the exams, because we all know that the syllabus, the ACCA syllabus are huge, and specifically if we talk about the professional series, they are cover a very broad area. uh, for example, if we talk about AFM, there are various areas in it which are covered. One major thing that the students must do to secure good marks is that they must be able to revise entire course within few hours, and for that they must have made proper summaries for each chapter which they can easily go through. Preferably it is written in their own handwritings. However, if there is someone who is doing work as well, they can obviously approach us for our respective papers, and we will definitely help them in providing those summaries. So this is one major area where the students need to work. Secondly, obviously, practice of past papers is key in any ACC exam. You must become familiar with how the ACC examiner wishes you to draft the exam paper answers, and you must be familiar with the requirements. As Sir Rizwan also highlighted, that there is a significant problem in students understanding the exam.
the requirements is very
Exactly,
important.
exam requirements. So that's very important, because if you start wrong, you will end it at the wrong place.
Okay, so Sardar, can you summarize what did you just say? Exam technique. It is the
Revision of the entire
it
syllabus.
it is the requirements. A student needs to understand the requirements. Number one.
Exactly.
Number two.
Number two, he must have made proper summaries to revise the entire course within few hours, because before exam you
Yes,
don't.
actually, this was his exam technique. This was his procedure. That he this was the method that Sir Taha followed when he was doing ACCA.
Exactly.
He used to make summaries of the of all the things that he used to read. So this is a good. This can be a good way to revise all the syllabus a few days before the exams. This could be really helpful to the students who are currently watching this program. Now, speaking of the pass rates. There are papers in the ACCA qualification for which the pass rates usually remain low. And I feel that this usually happens in the performance management papers. Papers like performance management and advanced performance management. So, in this regard, now I'll be discussing why the pass rates usually remain low for performance management papers. Okay, sir. Uh,
Now,
sir,
first of all, when we talk about performance management, that is previously known as F5. F5 always has been a debatable issue when it comes to examination. The major reason, what I feel, Mohit, and I'm sure Taha will agree with me on this. Taha is basically a teacher of management accounting F2 paper. Uh, when student is in F2 level, so the level of examination is different when it comes to F2, and the time they go in F5, because normally it's a connected paper, so people do prefer F5 after F2. So once they go towards F5, so the examination pattern is different. I'm not talking about the CB structure. My point is the examiner testing increases a lot, and examiner is testing in-depth area. This is what my point is. Because in F2, it's all manipulation of the numbers.
Exactly.
I'm sure there are theoretical questions that come in F2 as well. But in F5, you need to have the complete knowledge. And this is where students struggle a lot. In F2, they are just playing with numbers. When they come to F5, analysis part increases. Normally, examiner has mentioned this a lot, that in F5, you should know what the numbers mean. Now, if you just go inside this statement, you should know what you're doing. If you're calculating a variance, if it is an adverse variance, so you should know why this is adverse variance. It's not just about calculating the variance.
Sir, do you think it is advisable? Will you advise students to take F5 after financial reporting, after financial management, go for performance management?
Now there are two sides to this.
Okay.
First of all, as a tutor, what I believe is that people should go for F5 after F2. The major reason is, and the most positive point is, that the bases have been set in F2. So you can just use those bases and go into F5. But the examination level is difficult. So keeping that in mind, I would say, okay, if you just go for F7 first or FR first or a TX first, so you can get to know the exam environment. But still, I will remain at this point that because the bases are established in F2, you must go for PM after that. But learn the way the questions are tested. And for that, you need practice. So practice is one thing that will give you how to handle P5, F5 examination questions. Second, coming towards APM, as you mentioned APM as well. It's the same problem, the level of examination. Student needs to think in depth. Let me tell you very one important observation that I think is a right observation. As I teach APM and as I teach PM, so going back 7 years back, maybe 6 years back, the level of PM questions were not that much tough compared to these days. Reason is, one student go into APM. So going into APM, students were mentally not prepared for such a difficult level. I think examination team have figured out that, and that is why they've made PM a bit more difficult, so that at this skill level, students gets prepared for the worst, and once they opt for APM, so they are well prepared that, okay, these are the types of questions that will come in the exam. So this is one reason PM level has been raised by the examiner, so that one student go into the other advanced paper like APM, they are well prepared for that. So my advice is, you need to prepare yourself, and the best way to prepare yourself is to solve maximum questions in exam-based environment and never be to the point. You have to understand the scenario, and your answer should be scenario-based when it comes to section C, constructive response area.
Okay, Sata, you tell me one thing. The financial management pass rate has lowered from the previous attempt, it has reduced. So, do you think that how much pass rates are affected by the difficulty of the paper, the difficulty level of the exam? Because in any attempt, any paper can be difficult or any paper can be very easy in any attempt.
Okay.
So, what do you think about this? The difficulty level of the paper. Let's say in one attempt, examiner decides to set a very difficult paper, and the pass rate lowers in that attempt. Then, so tell me about that. How much does the difficulty level of the paper actually affects the pass rate?
Before Taha starts, I really sometimes think whether this is possible that examiner will make a difficult paper in September or in December. A student do ask. I don't think like.
I also personally agree with Sir Rizwan that it is not the examiner testing the moods of the students. However, the AFM pass rates have been traditionally been low on a lower side, comparatively on a lower side as compared to.
And in this attempt, financial management F9 pass rates have also
Yes,
reduced.
exactly.
Yes.
So comparatively, this AFM and FM papers have shown a lower pass rate as compared to other papers,
Yes.
and even for PM and APM. One of the reasons behind this is that the students are not involved in the scenario. They do not practice enough questions. They do not go for sufficient practice material. If you look at the past papers, you will find various cases which are tested by the examiner, and they test the same concepts, however in a very, very different environment within the question. The scenario is very different, and students face a lot of difficulty when attempting those questions in exams. Time management is also an issue. Students generally complain that they missed an entire question or around 15 to 20 marks. So the key thing is that the students need to understand that they must have good time management. They must attempt the mocks that are being provided by their respective teachers, and they should within the available time they should try to attempt the papers. Now, coming back on the lower papers, if we talk about, for example, management accountant, we all know that management accounting paper is mainly based on an MCQ. So it's a MCQ based question in which the students are not generally involved in writing the questions. So if we talk about the PM paper, one of the reasons is that the students need to understand that they are shifting their gears from a position where they were used to answer a 2 mark question to a 20 marks question.
Yes.
And this shifting of gears is
It's very
obviously
technical.
obviously
it's very
it will
technical, and it takes something to cope up with.
it takes
Exactly.
time, and students need to understand that once they are shifting their gears, they are shifting from a 2 marks to a 20 marks question. They need to understand that that 20 mark question will have 10 more things
Okay,
rather
sir,
than a
here,
2
here
marks
I
thing.
have a student. He is actually ICMAP qualified. He is
Okay.
ICMA, but he did his ICMA a decade ago, 14 years ago.
Okay.
And now, after getting exemptions in ACCA, he wants to appear in the Advanced Performance Management exam. Will you advise him to do so, provided that now his concepts may not be that much clear?
You just tell me the years.
Kashif Muhammad Yusuf. He
How
did
many-
ICMA 14 years ago.
14 years ago.
14 years ago. He got exemption. He passed one of the optional exams,
Okay.
and he has also passed, I think, yes, he has passed one of the optional papers, and now he is looking to appear in APM. Will you advise him to do so, or will you advise him to take any other optional paper? Or
I think yes, he should go for APM. Kashif, I think you should go for APM
Yes,
because of the
Kashif.
background you have. So Kashif, it will help you. I'm sure, as you have mentioned, 14 years. It's a long journey that has passed. But I think still, once you go into the subject and you start recalling things, so. Because if I compare any other option with APM, so he needs to study any other option, right? When it comes to AFM or AAA or ATX, so those are maybe more difficult to cope for him because the basis of APM is already
yes,
established.
actually, you are more inclined towards performance management. You are more inclined towards management accounting. That's why we are advising you to appear in the APM exam. In the APM, because of your background, your management accounting background, you are more inclined towards management accounting. That's why we are advising you to appear in APM exam, and that's so.
Okay, I would like to
Okay,
add on
okay,
something.
okay.
Mr. Kashif, I have seen ICMA syllabus as well, and yes,
He is also a tutor of the ICMA qualification, and Sarta has also been teaching strategic management accounting to ICMA students.
so Mr. Kashif, I have seen a bit of syllabus, and yes, I will recommend that you go for AFM or APM in your optional exams rather than going for the AAA or the ATX exam. It will be better for you. However, I am reading your message. It says that will it be possible for you to attempt in March 2020? So, personally, I will think that we should have an assessment with you. And depending, since you have a 14 years experience, probably you are working at some place. And personally, I feel that.
Kashif is also saying that he found AFM difficult. He has only one paper to qualify. He has passed.
So
the
you
other
see,
three.
he should go for APM. APM will be a better option. But anyone, including Kashif, anyone who is commenting over here, or anyone who wishes to evaluate his position, he can surely contact me, Sir Rizwan, anyone at WIFI, and we will surely guide him what paper is best for him. Even after this session, because the session has a limited time span, so even after the session, anyone
And
who
he
wishes
has
to
passed
evaluate
AAA, he has
who,
passed.
who wishes to evaluate his position, anyone who is a student of any other qualification willing to pursue ACCA, or anyone who wishes to know what are the best papers for him to select, we are always here at WIFI to help you all. You can contact Sir Rizwan directly, you can contact me, you can contact our team, and we will obviously evaluate and let you know what's best for you.
Okay, this student told me that he failed AFM. So, sir, my next question is about how to overcome failure. The techniques for overcoming failure.
Okay. First of all, failure is a situation which most of them experience in their lives. And I think failure is one opportunity to make sure that you have to win again.
Yes.
Because those who haven't failed, I'm sure those people are very lucky, but those who haven't failed, they never know how to come back. So failure is one method through which you can come back. So once you have failed in examination, my friends, it's not the end of the world. It's a clear message to all of you that it's just an examination. Sometimes students get so much nervous and they just lose their life. What's the point in that? My question is examination end of the world? It's not. It
Definitely
was
not.
just an examination.
Yeah, yeah.
So treat this like an exam. And yes, just analyze why you failed. If you haven't passed in December 2019, any paper I'm talking about, just analyze where you went wrong. Because if you got 49 or below, this means you were not good enough to pass the paper. So there are shortcomings. Friends, there are shortcomings that you need to figure out yourself. Just sit, relax, and just think how you studied for the examination. You might get an answer that you just studied for last 15 days. Maybe you studied for last 10 days. Maybe you were studying last 3 months, but your approach, your approach was not right. So you need to find out where you went wrong. And one person that can help you is your own tutors. Obviously, if you are taking classes, if you're going for online classes, if you're going for physical classes, whatever, your tutor will be able to help you out. Maybe you have just given them the answers for marking, so they can just give you the feedback, okay, your answer was not appropriate. So you just go back to your online tutor or a physical tutor, ask them where I went wrong, and analyze yourself. And once you analyze, just make a future plan, because this is very important. The day of result, we are very much emotional. If we failed, so we are very emotional, and we just make a plan. Okay, from now I'll study, and the next day when we went to into the practical world again, so we forgot everything. So you need to make a plan. Okay, now this is the plan for March or June, whatever attempt you are selecting, and just make a plan. Just set a roadmap and work accordingly. So remember, failure is one step to come back, and this is one more step that is giving you the opportunity to go towards your success.
Okay, sir, actually, I need to know how a student can figure out where he or she lacks.
As I mentioned before, the first thing is that you need to reanalyze yourself. Okay, as I mentioned, that your tutors are the one who can help you out. Just go to your tutor, just write the answer, just tell them to mark the script, and yes, this is one way they can figure out, okay, this is where we are lacking. Secondly, examiner reports. Now
Yes.
this is very important.
Yes, examiner reports do
I
help
just
the
want to
students too.
request all the students,
Yes.
examiner reports are not for tutors to read only.
Yes.
Because the general perception in the market is that the tutor will read the examiner report and will find out the issues and will let us know. No, examiner report is very important source to improve your performance for future. Your examiner is mentioning there, and very clearly written reports are there where you can easily figure out where you are lacking. So those reports are extremely important, especially for all those who have entered into skill module right now. They will be attempting maybe a PM, FR, or any other paper. So CBE techniques are very important. Now spreadsheet is one big challenge the student face. So examiner report is mentioning that students are not being able to cope up with spreadsheet. They are not writing the right formulas in the cell.
Yes.
So this is a very important source that everybody should read. Along with technical articles is one area which gives you an in-depth knowledge as well. You can go for technical articles as well. Past paper answers is one another source of very improvement. You read past paper answers, but here I need to just add one thing. Sometimes what students do, they draft an answer and they go to the past paper answer and they say, oh, we are here and the answer is there.
Yes.
And that day they start getting demotivated.
Demotivated.
It's wrong.
They start-
The past paper answer is an ideal answer. The person who wrote this answer have spent a lot of time on this answer, and you are writing the answer in 15 to 20 minutes. In
Yes.
examination, you are bounded with 3 hours. That's it. The person who is writing the answer has spent a lot of time in planning and writing the answers.
Yes.
So how can you match that? Yeah, the point is, once you read the possible answer, it gives you the confidence. It should give you the confidence. It should motivate you. Okay, I need to improve like this. Any new points that you have figured out, just note it down on a piece of a paper or your register so that you can incorporate that knowledge into your lecture plans. And this is how you can improve your answers, and you can improve your skills, and this is how you will find out where you are lacking.
Okay, there is a student, and actually he wants to know that he failed in 40s, or maybe he's failing again and again in 40s. So what can he do?
Okay, he's Orlando, right?
Yes.
Orlando, can you tell the paper name in which you have scored 40 so that it will become easy for us to answer?
Is this is this any optional level paper, or is this any
This is a skill module, or this is a professional paper?
is this a professional paper, so that we can advise you?
Okay, now we haven't received the answer, but let me just tell you 40s. Failing is 40s means that you are very near. There is some examination technique that is lacking.
Yes.
40 means that it's PM. He's saying it's PM.
He's saying PM.
Is PM.
perform-
So Orlando, what I think is, if you are failing in 40s, you are very near to it. There is not a big major issue in conceptual understanding, because when you are in 30s, so one would say, okay, there is a big major issue in your concepts. So you might not be able to complete the paper, maybe. Maybe you are lacking in certain areas. Maybe your time management is the problem. So in 40s, I would say that you just need to push yourself a bit more practice, more passive reading, more question solving will definitely help you to cross 50. So this is what I think about 40s.
Okay, sir. Now, what is the difference? What could be the difference between 30s and 40s, sir?
Okay.
What could be the difference between a student who failed, but in fact I have seen people who fail in 40s many times, and after that many times they get disheartened. They fail, they again and again getting 40s, and this usually happens in the optional level papers, and this is an irony of the ACCA qualification, that a student who is working and who is failing again and again in 40s, you can judge what will be his morale, how demotivated can he get. So kindly advise in this regard.
Okay, so we are discussing students who fail in 40s. Now, 40s means that probably you had sufficient knowledge, but probably you were not able to apply this knowledge in the scenario or in the right time. 40 is a very good score, and you could have made the paper with some extra mileage. To evaluate a student, since all cases are different, I have just decided that for all the AFM students who have flunked their papers for any reason in December, I will soon be announcing a short, we can say, a session for those students who have just appeared in AFM and for any reason were not successful. What I will do is that I will give you a past paper question, and then you all can submit us your answers at Wi-Fi, which I will personally discuss with all of you one by one or through a session depending on the quantum, and I will try to evaluate what went wrong while you were attempting the answer, whether it was your time management, because I will give you a targeted time to solve the question, whether it was the drafting of the answer, whether you were not able to interpret the question properly, what was actually wrong with the answering of the question. So right after this session, in a day or two, I will be announcing a session for those specifically who were not able to pass the AFM exams. You all will be requested to submit the answers. I will myself try to evaluate and give you the key points, because every student is different, and there are some general problems, but there are some specific problems as well which we as a tutor have a responsibility to answer. So we will definitely do that and specifically tell the students what actually went wrong in their specific answer sheet.
Okay, here at Wi-Fi, we will be trying to find out where students lack.
And that evaluation will help you to decide whether you should reset in March
Yeah.
or whether June is the better option for you, since we know that we have 4 attempts in a year and there is very short duration of time between the result and the next attempt. So we need a very decent and a very suitable planning, and that also depends upon how much hours can you put in the study, how many papers you are left with, whether you are really depressed with the changes in your plans due to the results, god forbid. But we will obviously definitely help you decide whether you should go for the March attempt or the June attempt, depending on your strengths, on your weaknesses, and the opportunities you have.
And one thing I need to add here, one, as Taha just mentioned, that the right planning is really important. Students, if you have planned your papers, it's good, but make sure your plan should be a right plan. March is very near, so if you have failed any paper, it's my general advice. It all depends on specific situation of the student. What I believe is, if you have failed a paper, maybe it was your first or a second attempt, you just go for that paper again in March, because that is the time you can just push on and you can pass the paper. But if you are failing a papers like maybe, God forbid, 7 attempts, 8 attempts, so then stop that paper and go for another fresh paper, so that you are able to pass that paper and come back to this paper again. So for March, you need to plan accordingly. For June, you need to plan accordingly. My advice is that you go for one paper. It's a general advice, one paper in March and 2 papers in June, because you cannot stress yourself. March means it's just game of few days, and that's it. In June, you have time to think and plan accordingly. So do ask your mentors, your teachers, and just tell them your situation, and then take a decision how many papers you need to opt. One more thing I need to add here. Normally what students do, that they compare themselves with their friends.
Exactly.
For example, Taha is giving 5 papers. They're not allowed. Taha is giving 4 papers, and Rizwan Mani, is saying, okay, I will also give 4 papers. Now, there is a possibility that Taha level of mentality is different. He is much better than me, and I cannot cope with the pressure. So you have to take your own decision. Please don't follow your friends. You just see your own capability and then take a decision how many papers you need to opt for.
Okay. Okay, sir. Which papers you think are ideal once a student passes a law? Which papers are ideal just after passing F4? Which papers to go for?
Okay, now F4 means the student have cleared F1, 2, and 3 as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now my personal advice is that if you're done with F2, that is management accounting, you should go for PM, because that will give you the basis and that you can use. Along with that, you can go for TX paper. This is my personal opinion. Maybe Taha may disagree. I think you should go for 2 papers after your FIA, because you are shifting yourself from FIA to another skill module. That is a different mindset.
Yeah, yes.
So do not give yourself too much pressure. Go for 2 papers, that is PM and TX. Why TX? Because TX is comparatively easier to pass, and this gives you the confidence, and PM with TX is a balance. I think a balance effort will be done. So I think for PM, for students who have done FIA, they can go for PM, TX, or maybe if they need to add, so FR, because financial accounting will support them, and they can go for FR. So according to this, they can plan.
But generally it is considered that tax and financial reporting are the easiest in the skills module. Do you agree?
Yes, the traditional pass rates are high for these as compared to the PM exam. Now coming to the paper combination, I will suggest to students that they should go for PM, because they have the management accounting basics, and it will be quite easier for them to attempt that exam. And apart from that, they can either go for FR, because they have also studied the financial accounting, or they can go for tax. That's up to them, and depending on how much time they have. However, if they are going for PM, they should be seriously careful, because this paper has been a challenge for various students, and they take it comparatively on a lighter note. So PM will demand a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of writing, and with that they can go for any one of the computational papers, whether it is text or reporting, preferably reporting.
Okay. Okay, so you are of the opinion that appearing in performance management just after passing F4 or F2 is
Much better.
is much better. Okay, but I am of the opinion that passing PM so early and appearing in APM after passing performance management a couple of years after passing performance management, how much will that support passing advanced performance
Now,
management?
Mohit, that all depends that whether student wants to go for APM or not. Because students, I don't think at the level of PM they have taken a decision that they have to go for APM or not. So they don't know about APM or maybe AFM. So I think that gap does matter, but practically students are not concerned about that gap. Okay, but yeah, if you just bridge that gap, yes, definitely it will help you in APM, but practically nobody does it. So I think it is not that much relevant for a student to see how many years they have to spend between these two papers.
Okay. Now, okay, sir. Speaking of optional papers, now, what do you suggest to our working students who are doing a job somewhere and they are finding it difficult to cope up with the optional papers? As
Okay.
both of you are teachers of optional papers.
Okay, now, first thing that I need to comment here is the selection of optional papers, first of all.
Yes.
We have 4 papers in options. Everybody know that is AFM, APM, AAA, and ATX. So first of all, when you to decide which options to go for, just for me, just look at 2 things. Number one, the previous paper, the previous connecting paper, how good you were in that paper. Like PM supported with APM. So first look at your previous connected paper, how good you were in that. Secondly, the field that you're choosing for yourself in future. For example, if you want to go in an audit area, so AAA is the best option you have.
Okay.
If you are going for ICAW, so you have options of ATX and AAA. If you are planning your own business or you want to work strategically at any organizational level, so I think APM and AFM would definitely help you out. So 2 things I think you need to keep in your mind. That is your expertise in the previous connected paper, and secondly, where you plan yourself in the future when it comes to practical world. Secondly, how to cope up. Yes, if you are doing jobs, so yes, this is the pressure you have to take. This is the responsibility that you have to take. You cannot go away with that responsibility. Once you will select a paper that is based upon your future job position, so I'm sure your interest will automatically develop and you will be able to cope up with the pressure along with your jobs.
Okay. Then, okay. Here I am actually, I feel that we have benefited you from our discussion, and I hope to see you soon here at the educational podcast. And so, goodbye, and best of luck to all of you who failed the exam and who are willing to appear in the March attempt or the June attempt, and take care of yourself and everyone else. Thank you very much.
Thank you.